Hey y'all, I'm Rick Allen, host of Rick's House Home Improvement television show and Rick's House radio show, and I am so excited because my camera guy and producer Jeff is with me today, and we're over in Panama City, over down by the fairgrounds, and I got a phone call this morning and I was able to talk with our friend from Cornell Brock from Habitat for Humanity. Now, lots of you guys know that I have done a lot with Habitat for Humanity over the years, and we believe in their program. And we think it's absolutely wonderful the work that they do, and we're so fortunate to have somebody like Cornell who leads the program here in Panama City, because what he's doing for families through the Habitat for Humanity program is absolutely outstanding. We're here today. They've got two houses here on East 8th Street, East 8th Court, I think it is. I didn't know where I was going until I got here, but we're here now. And we're going to talk about both of these houses a little bit. We've got the house behind me, which is really unique because it's an EarthSense house. And this is a house where Gulf Power is sponsoring this house. And as it goes through the construction process, we'll be checking back on it as time goes along, because they're going to take this house and make it super energy efficient. One of the things that you need to know about Habitat for Humanity that I learned many years ago, and it was so cool, is the people who receive these homes are paying for these homes, and they're paying for them at no interest, but they also have sweat equity that goes into these houses. They have to put 500 hours of sweat equity into each one of these houses to be a part of it. And you know, something great about that is anything that you're a part of, anything that you work with your hands on, anything that you put sweat into is something that you'll appreciate and you'll feel proud about it. So great program today as we feature our friends from Habitat for Humanity, the chapter here in Panama City, and we're going to show you a little bit about how houses are put together, and I'm going to share some tips with you along the way. Thank you so much for joining us this Saturday or Sunday morning, whichever time it is you're watching us. Tell your friends about Rick's House. You can find us online at rickshouse.com. Come on in the house and let's see what we've got in store for you today.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out, 'cause it's Rick's House.
You know, one of the things that I first noticed when I pulled up here on the job site was I stepped out of the car and I got out and I got the smell of sawdust and lumber. And you know, it's for me and for those of you who love construction and love the things about it, it's like, you know, Gatorade for an athlete. I mean, I just walked out and it's like, yeah, give me a saw, have my tool belt, let's get into that. And as I walk through the house today, is before we take you inside and let you see what's going on, one of the things that I thought, what I noticed is these houses are built by volunteers. And a lot of the volunteers are craftsmen who have been in the building industry for years and years and years. And I can always tell when there's craftsmen that's worked on a house, because as we go through this house today, I'm going to show you some telltale signs of how the quality of this thing is put together. It's an awesome built house, and I'm going to show you why in just a minute. I'm over here at the washout sink. Now, where I'm from, we say wash. That's W-A-R-S-H, wash. But again, the ingenuity when you're working with folks that do this on a daily level, they've took an old kitchen sink, they've put it into a stand that they've built, and they've got it right here next to the water meter, as you can see. It's connected to the water meter, and it's also connected to a drain that goes down with a P-trap and down and out and off and away. So when you want to wash out a sheetrock bucket or a paintbrush, as they're doing next door, because the house we're looking at there is being painted, if you want to use those things right here, you've got a sink and a work surface. It's a little bit about preparation. My grandfather, as I think back about him and the things that he was doing, he always made a template, or he always made a jig, or he never started any project that he wasn't ready to start it and had the necessary tools and equipment. I saw this wash tub today hooked up with water ready to run, drains ready to run. These guys know what they're doing. Let's go on in the house and see what they got coming up next. All right, now here we've got the scrap pile. This is what's left over from the project, and as you can tell, I'm gonna have to give my friends at Habitat for Humanity an A+ when it comes to having the scrap pile up and running, and this is all that there is. Most of this wood will end up used in other projects or to build things like the table that we saw earlier for the sink. But not only that, there's one thing that bothers me about this pile. One thing that we got to make sure that we do, and if you're on a job site, make sure that you do that. If you notice, we've got some 2x4s here. with the nail sticking straight out. We want to make sure that any time we discard a 2x4, I either want you to take that nail and drive it back out, or I want you to take that nail and bend it down. It's easy for a kid or somebody else to run through the pile, forget. Even me, I've stepped on them, done it myself lots of times. So make sure you just knock that down. This was probably last minute, and I'm sure it's not something they do all the time, but safety's first, and you got to make sure and take care of that. So when you see this right here, make sure and bend those nails down and keep it safe. All right, well, as I was going in, I saw the blue pipe sticking up out of the ground, and that tells me, hey, there's a water line here. But not only that, do you see the gauge that's on the end of it? That tells me that the plumbing's ready to be tested. That's a gauge, and when we're going to have our plumbing tested for leaks prior to sheetrock and insulation, we want to make sure that there's no leaks in it. So the plumber will put an air pressure test on it so that he can make sure that all the lines are good, and they leave that on there overnight until the next day, and then the inspector will come out and take a look at it, and that way we know we got no leaks before we cover it up. So this one's ready to go, and if you'll notice, they're using PEX piping. That's something we've talked about a lot on the show. It's great for underground, it's great for slabs, it's flexible, you can run long leaks with it without solder joints. It's a good product, something we're going to see more of as time goes along.
You know, I grew up in a house as an electrician's son, and I figured out right fast that I didn't want to do electricity for a living. Why? Because it takes a professional. Let me tell you about the professionals at Keefe & Sons Electric. Great friends of the Rick's House program. They are the electrical contractor that we like to recommend, who's with over 15 years of experience. They've built their company servicing the residential community and doing the commercial stuff. Solar systems, new construction, remodeling, bucket truck service, pools, spas, jacuzzis, wiring, electrical generator installations, panel upgrades, gas station wiring, and more. Whether it's troubleshooting or repair, we want you to call the team at Keefe & Sons Electric, 763-6599. That's 850-763-6599, or find them online at rickshouseradioshow.com. Go to game. Keefe & Sons Electric. We make the impossible doable. Keefe & Sons Electric, getting the job done from bucket trucks to small residential. Professional electric services done the way they should be. Keefe & Sons Electric Company, a Rick's House favorite.
Hi, I'm Dave Williams with Mid-South Lumber Install Pros. Do you have windows and doors that don't operate correctly? Is the glass fogged? Can you feel cold air coming in? Let the install pros at Mid-South Lumber replace those old windows and doors for you. Go from this to this, from this to this, and from this to this. Improve the looks of your home while increasing your home's value and lowering your power bills. Call me personally, Dave Williams at Mid-South Lumber Install Pros, 215-5185. That's 215-5185.
Hello, I'm Dr. Cohen. If you're suffering with back pain, neck pain, headaches, leg or arm pain, or if you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, please listen carefully.
Cairo Network Healthcare Centers.
At Cairo Network, we offer 2 free x-rays. Those x-rays allow us to locate and evaluate your problem and determine whether chiropractic care is appropriate for you. So why not find out today whether chiropractic care can be the answers to your health problems? Give us a call.
Okay, we've moved inside at Little Village, and my buddy Beth had showed me some things. And matter of fact, Justin had told me about it, and I'd forgotten about it, Beth, because this is really amazing. This artwork that you see, Beth, tell us what we got going on here. This is just amazing.
It is really cool stuff. Here at Little Village, we try to do everything recycled, repurposed, and this is one of our favorite pieces of art. This line comes from Haiti, and it's made from repurposed oil drums. They take the big 55-gallon drums and stuff it with hay and burn off the impurities, and then create these designs with just a hammer and a chisel. And the best part about it is we buy it directly from those artists, and the money goes to them instead of a global distributor. So it's something we're very proud of here.
It's really, I mean, just a beautiful artwork. And when you think about the time, first of all, I like it because we're recycling a used oil drum and getting that back into another category. Second of all, I like it because it's letting those craftspeople do what they do
and support their families
and their heritage. Our friend Alan Williams, the Tennessee Traveler, who does our radio show, just got back from Haiti on a 2-week trip there. And he and I were talking this morning, matter of fact, about the amount of poverty and how those families live. Absolutely. It's a very poor country, and it's a country that is in need of assistance. So this is a great opportunity here in Panama City to help those families. And what fantastic art.
It is a beautiful product.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Just some of the stuff that you'll find at Little Village. Just come see Beth, and she'll take care of you. Okay, we made our way out of the yard into the porch, and you know, I I want to take my time today because I want you to see the components and things that go into a house. And you know, this is going to be kind of our last informational show. Next week's show, we've got a lot of how-to stuff that we're going to be putting on the air. I've been planning some projects that I'm going to share with you, little bits and pieces, and show you some tips on how to do it. But the first thing that I noticed is when I was talking to you earlier in the program, I talked about how when we work on a Habitat for Humanity house, the thing that we see is we have craftsmen, some are retired, some are not retired, that do this work. And the first thing that I noticed when I came to the porch, if you'll notice, see the line? See the pencil line? Now that's not a chalk box line. That's not anything except that is a pencil line. Now what does that tell me? What that tells me is that everywhere the nails are, with the exception of the outside where we know we're dealing into a door opening like we are here, or a window opening, or those kinds of things. But when we're trying to get this plywood onto the existing framing, what we're dealing with here is that there's a pencil mark. That tells me that before this piece of plywood went up, it was on this table over here, and they measured it out and they marked where the studs are, so that each one of these hand-driven nails, or nail gun nails, these look hand-driven, are exactly in the center of the stud. That takes time. That ain't slap it up and take a guess. That takes time, and that's quality construction. And that tells me there's some old boys around here that's got a pencil behind their ear and might be wearing some bib overalls that's getting that done. So you look at the quality. The other thing that you want to notice is see how the nailing pattern is. We've got a 3-inch nailing pattern here. That's what we got to have for code. That makes sure that this plywood is going to stay to that structure the way that it should. I think it's outstanding. Now, the same thing goes when we talk about headers. You can see how they're nailed top and bottom, as well as the nailing pattern on our studs. Up above, we've got our truss situation, where we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I wanted to give you an idea of the importance of how the sheathing is put together and how it works. The other thing that I think is important, and Jeff, if you can follow me, that we'll look together here, is if you look into the doorway where it's taken apart, you'll see a few things. The first thing you see is a pressure-treated mud seal. This is the green part right here. Now that's got to be pressure-treated because it's against the concrete. The concrete's going to bring moisture up, and we've got to make sure of that. The second thing that you see is what I call this a termite barrier, but there's other words for it. It's between the concrete and between the pressure-treated wood. It's an additional seal. And then you can see how it's framed and cut off square all the way up, giving us a good edge to start our plywood from. Many things go into the construction and the framing of a house. Just a few things that we're showing you. Now we're finally going to make our way inside and talk about how this thing's put together.
Rick's Wardrobe provided by Neck Life. To get your Neck Life gear, go to rickshouse.radio.com.
When you sit down with an accountant to plan for your financial future, trust counts. And when you choose a doctor to care for your loved ones, trust counts. And when you choose a roofing contractor to protect you from the storms, trust counts. Tadlock Roofing, when trust counts. Proud to be North Florida's only Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor. To learn more, go to whentrustcounts.com. whentrustcounts.com.
Hey y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. Your equipment can be the difference in a good year or a bad one. That's why I choose Beard Equipment. Quality products like John Deere and Steel, chainsaws, tractors, lawnmowers, you name it, they've got it. Parts, service, and a team you can count on. Call them today, 850-769-4844. That's 850-769-4844. Remember, Beard Equipment, a team you can count on. 4625 Highway 231, Panama City, or online at beardequipment.com.
You know, one of the good things that came out of the bad hurricanes in New Orleans was our friend Trudy and Jan came to Panama City, and guess what? They brought that Cajun place with them. Fantastic meals, Friday afternoon crawfish broils, and the great Cajun food. Good lunch specials, so let's go on in and see what they're cooking today.
Hi, I'm Trudy White, owner and chef at That Cajun Place. Originally from Houma, Louisiana, I bring authentic Cajun cooking to Panama City Beach. We offer a variety of po' boy sandwiches, all served on authentic French bread from New Orleans. Menu includes things like the Big Easy, the Houdat, Bayou Club, and the Nolans. Also try a bowl of our award-winning chicken and andouille sausage gumbo with a half a po' boy for only $7.50. Every Friday night we have a Cajun seafood boil. featuring whatever seafood is in season. Right now we're doing shrimp and blue crabs, including corn, potatoes, and mushrooms, and whatever else we can throw in the pot.
It's like having New Orleans right here in Panama City.
It's delicious. It's got being back home. It's great.
Okay, we're from Louisiana, and it is up to par.
Up to par?
Up to par.
Come join us at that Cajun place located at 8019 Thomas Drive, right next door to Salt Lake Tavern, where you can come and enjoy authentic Cajun cooking right on the beach. We're open from 11 to 9 Monday through Saturday and closed on Sunday. Go Saints.
All right, so I made it inside the house. We're standing in the living room here of the Habitat for Humanity house, and I'm just going to take you through this slow because there's so much to see. I'm like a kid in a candy store, and I'm going to ask you a question that we'll come back to in a little bit and see if you know the answer. Here's the deal. The first thing you notice about living in Florida is that we have high wind speeds. Obviously, being here near the ocean, we know that. And we have what's called design pressure. We also have wind speed. So we've got to make sure that this house is tied together from the very bottom plate and the slab all the way through to the very top. We want it in one piece because as one piece tied together, put together like a good Lego wall, it's ready and able to hold the air and keep it down. Now this is what we call an all thread, and you'll notice that from the very top of the double plate, if you can see up there, it has a washer on the other side and it's bolted down up there. The all thread comes all the way down. It goes into and locks onto a bolt that's preset in the slab. So if you see it here, it's preset in the slab, it's tied to it, the all thread comes up, we've got a washer on the top of the double plate, and it's tied together. You will see these along through about every 4 or 5 feet. I don't know what the exact code is, it depends on the county that you're in. But about every 4 to 5 feet, you'll see these all the way around the perimeter of the house, which helps hold it together. Now, you know I'm a fan of Simpson Strong Tie, and this is something that we use tons of here. If you'll look, this is nothing more than a strap. And when we talk about headers, this is what we call the header. The header here is a load-bearing header because it's carrying the weight of the trusses for the hip roof. And so it's 2 2x10s with a piece of 1/2 inch plywood in between, so it makes it the right thickness as the wall, so it's there and together. What I want to tell you about this is you'll notice that the header, because there's a joint there, has a strap on it. And you'll notice on each and every truss along the top plate, it has a truss tie, which is holding the double top plate to the truss. And that happens all the way around the perimeter of the house. Again, we're tying that system together from the very bottom all the way through to the very top. It's extremely important, and it's a good job and a good thing to do, and it'll make this house solid. As we move along through the construction, I'm going to tell you some other things, but I want to ask you a question, and we'll come back to this before the show's over. Who can tell me what's missing from this wall? Can anybody tell me? I want you to know what component at this level of construction is missing from this wall. I'll give you some clues to that as we go through the house and see it in other parts of the house. You tell me, do you know what component's missing? We'll share it with you coming up next. I have probably spent $7 million on garden hoses in my lifetime, and I bet you have too. You know, when you think about a garden hose, I walk into the store and I'm like, it's $16.99. Let me tell you something, take that $16.99 hose and throw it away because it ain't worth $2.99, okay? I learned a long time ago, a few years ago, that I went and I bought a hose just like this and a hose just like this. Okay, these two hoses this is a professional grade. It's not meant for hot water now. You got to remember that. This is meant for cold water. It's a rubber hose and it does a heck of a job. I've got one exactly like this I've had for 13 years. 13 years. It's $34. It's worth the money. This is a premium contractor grade hose. It's rubber and vinyl. It's a 75-foot hose. This is $44.99, okay? Spend the money. Because you think about how many hoses have you bought? How often do they tear up? They get flat, they leak. All those things happen. Don't do it. Go ahead and spend the money and make sure you get a good quality hose, and you'll be glad you did because you'll get your money's worth out of it and you'll be done for at least a long time. All right, it's killing me. I want to give you the answer to the question, but it's a simple question. But you know what? If you don't know it, you don't know it because I didn't know it for a long time. You know, the one reason I wanted to look at this house is because so often we don't get to see the components of framing and how everything goes together. Not everything is pretty in framing, although they've done an excellent job at this house today. But I can tell you that there are some things that are not so pretty. You remember our scrap pile we had outside when we were talking about the nails being in the board? The reason they're saving those things is they've got a little bit more dead wood to put into this house. They've got most of it in, but they don't have all of it in yet. You say, my gosh, Rick, what are you talking about dead wood? Was dead wood opposed to live wood? What's the difference? All right, here's the deal. Jeff, if you'll pan up above the door header right here, you see this long piece of wood that's installed right there? That's what we call dead wood, because on this particular wall, when the sheetrock comes over from the bottom of the trusses, it has to have something to nail to against this wall because it can't just float. That's what we call dead wood. Dead wood on the door, we don't have dead wood yet on this end wall, but they'll get it in and it'll make that sheetrock look fantastic. That's another use for those scraps that we have that we use to save cost. Use them in places. It doesn't have to be solid, but you got to have it where you can nail it the appropriate nailing patterns. Dead wood, not live wood, but dead wood is the answer to Rick's house trivia question.
Hi, I'm Dave Williams with Mid-South Lumber Install Pros. Do you have windows and doors that don't operate correctly? Is the glass fogged? Can you feel cold air coming in? Let the install pros at Mid-South Lumber replace those old windows and doors for you. Go from this to this, from this to this, and from this to this. Improve the looks of your home while increasing your home's value and lowering your power bills. Call me personally, Dave Williams at Mid-South Lumber Install Pros, 215-5185. That's 215-5185.
When you sit down with an accountant to plan for your financial future, trust counts. And when you choose a doctor to care for your loved ones, trust counts. And when you choose a roofing contractor to protect you from the storms, trust counts. Tadlock Roofing, when trust counts. Proud to be North Florida's only Owens Corning Platinum Preferred Contractor. To learn more, go to whentrustcounts.com. whentrustcounts.com.
Hey y'all, being from the country, I've learned one thing for sure. Your equipment can be the difference in a good year or a bad one. That's why I choose Beard Equipment. Quality products like John Deere and Steel, chainsaws, tractors, lawnmowers, you name it, they've got it. Parts, service, and a team you can count on. Call them today, 850-769-4844. That's 850-769-4844. Remember, Beard Equipment, a team you can count on. 4625 Highway 231, Panama City, or online at beardequipment.com.
All right, so I've made my way in the kitchen. Who knew I'd make my way to the kitchen pretty quick? Although I will have to say that I want to give a special shout out today to our friends at Workout 24/7 that you'll find me talking about on Facebook. That'd be Satan, Lucifer, and Recon, who work me out each and every day. All jokes aside, the guys are fantastic. It's Dwayne and of course Scott and Chris, who have done a phenomenal job helping me to get to the next level of fitness. And also a super shout out to my buddy Dr. Hal Cohen and Pong, who helped me at the Chiro Network Body Rejuvenation Center so that I can get this weight off. Do you realize that this show, yesterday I weighed and I've lost 35 pounds in 30 days. That's 35 pounds in 30 days with a combination of the diet, exercise, and the Zerona laser. And here's what's fantastic about this, y'all. This is something that's blowing my mind. When I first went to the weight loss clinic, they measured my neck, they measured both my arms at my biceps, they measured my chest, my midriff, my waistline, and what they call your shanks, which is underneath your love handles, for lack of a better term. Yesterday they remeasured me, and the way they do that is they mark you like 7 inches up from the top of your belly button, and then they measure you from your elbow so many inches up. That way you get the exact same measurement every time. It's a science just like construction is. And so what they do is they mark you. Did you know that in 30 days I have lost a total of 44 inches in those places? My total body loss is 44 inches. It's unbelievable. The shorts I'm wearing today, I've not worn over a year. I'm telling you, getting healthy and getting fit's a little hard at first, but man, I'm into it now. And I'm just gonna go ahead, I ain't gonna tell a lie. They told me I could have a reward, and I ate a whole small pizza today, and it was delicious. But I'm good to go back on my diet, and I'm ready for the next 30 days. And I can't believe I said that on TV, because Satan, Lucifer, and Recon will put me back on that step fox. I better get back to talking about home improvement and leave the weight loss and the physical fitness to those who know. So back in the kitchen, we are talking about that. Now here's a couple things. When you walk through a house, you'll see all kinds of different things where you'll see, you know, here we've scratched something out. Here we've got a signal that says there's going to be an electrical outlet or a switch right here. Usually it'll say electrical outlet, and then if it's a switch, it'll say S. That tells me there's going to be a plug there. If you look down on the floor, we'll see a couple things. Number one, they've marked the end of the cabinet right here. Number two, we know that the refrigerator is going to come to here. And so there's lots of things. Here's our refrigerator plug back up on the wall here. Lots of information. Now, one of the things that I've always done, and a little trick for you, a little tip for you, and they'll probably do this too, prior to sheetrock of any structure that I built, we would go around and we would take a pencil and just put a mark in front of every stud, so that on the concrete or on the flooring, whatever it was, concrete, plywood, whatever, so that we knew exactly where every stud was when we went to put up trim. It just makes it so much easier. I mean, yeah, you can find an electrical box and measure it out and see what's going on, but if you can just come in here and make a mark on the floor, then there you've got an accurate description of where you can nail that trim when it comes up. Here's another idea, and they'll probably do this, but some of that scrap wood that we have outside that we're going to use for dead wood, what we want to do is, once we know where our cabinets are, I will come in here and, knowing what the height of my cabinets are, where they were going to set, whether they were 36 inches tall or whether they were 48 inches tall, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take that dead wood and I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to put a strap in here, a block in each one of these, both at the top and at the bottom of that cabinet, because that then gives me a place, when I'm hanging this against sheetrock, I'm going through the back side of the structure of my cabinet and I'm putting it in wood no matter where I go. So when Mama loads it down with all those dishes and all those things and those planters, you can make sure that that cabinet stays on the wall. That's a Rick's House tip. I'm sure they'll do it. We're going to move into another room and then outside and see what we can show you next. Listen, thank y'all so much for taking time out of your Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings to join us here on Rick's House. I appreciate it. Listen, here's how you get me during the week. rickshouseradioshow.com. It's rickshouseradioshow.com. You can go there. You can find all kind of information about the radio show and the television show. And if you know somebody that we need to know about, or you've got a project going on, or something that we need to film, we want to know about it. So contact me, rickshouseradioshow.com, rickshouseradioshow@gmail.com. Thank you all so much. Visit our sponsors. Let them know you've seen it. Let us know. We look forward to spending time with you again next Saturday and Sunday. Thank you so much, and as always, we'll see you next week.
Oh, well, it's Rick's House. If you got a question, he'll help you figure it out. 'Cause it's Rick's